If you try to find out what's up my sleeve, you can figure out what a bag of means. If you try, nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from being deceived.
And welcome back to the I Cut My Way Out podcast. You know, barbers all over the world have cut their way out of a 9-to-5. They done cut their way out of being in the streets. They done cut their way out of an athletic career that maybe has ended prematurely or unfulfilled. Barbering is a great industry. And we just podding to push it forward with our experiences and our love. I am Kenneth Jenkins at Kenneth Jinx on Facebook and at Ken Jinx on every other social media platform. I'm joined by my good brothers and Supreme Barbers and Groomers. First owner of the Studio 312 Barbershop in Murfreesboro, Tennessee at Shot a Barber. Next, live in effect, joined by the pride of McGee, Mississippi, and the big man at Blaze Barbershop in Ridgeland, Mississippi, and the big man of this show, all 6'8" of them, AO, the Ace of Spades. What's going on, brothers? And last but not least, the architect, the founder of this pod, and the owner of Beard Culture Barbershop and Art Gallery serving the Champaign-Urbana community in Illinois, Aush Knox, a.k.a. Beard Culture, at Beard Culture, beard_culture_4 on all social media outlets. Welcome, brothers. Let's get it in. How y'all doing?
Man, what's good, man?
Blessed. Feeling good.
Yeah. Glad it's Sunday. For real.
So let's get to it. It's been a while since we on our schedule. So we on schedule as far as how often we pod, and so we right on schedule. Feedback. This is season 2, episode 2 of the I Cut My Way Out podcast. We are everywhere where you can hear your podcast, most notably YouTube, not SoundCloud, but Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, TuneIn, Google Play, everywhere where you can listen. Bing, Google, Yahoo, search box, I Cut My Way Out pod. We will be at the top.
Yes, sir. No doubt.
So how everything been going, Sha? Let's start with you.
Oh man, it's been busy, dude. It's been busy, man. You got these kids going back to school. I got about 7 or 8 other irons in the fire. Then I'm wrestling with my baby, getting her back acclimated with a school schedule. So yeah, it's been busy, man.
And everything been good at the shop, and business is still booming. And
yeah, man, business is doing real good, man. I've been in contact with a few stylists and tattoo artists, so we looking to expand some things.
That's what's up.
And AO, we was talking off wax about some things, but that's totally up to you. But just catch us up with how things been going with you.
Oh man, everything been going great, man. Just trying to sit down somewhere, man. I've been like you said, man. This back to school stuff been oh my god, it's been pandemonium.
Right.
I've been cutting hair like every time I turn around, like it's just been a lot going on. Everything good though. Everything all good.
Yeah, that's what's up.
That's what's up.
Give it to us.
So for me, man, everything has been everything has been good, man. Had a friend pass, and we'll talk about that. Had my first experience, and it was a privilege. It was an honor, humbling, but also it was real deep and real heavy, man. So I'll talk about that. But the family as well, the children are well. This week we celebrated. Actually, me and Jinx, we did Facebook Live commentary. One of our high schools, one of my rival high schools, and I ended up coaching there. they had an alumni game. Their coach for 22 years, first black coach in the community. He passed away 3-4 years ago. They named the gym after him and had the first inaugural game, alumni game in his honor. So, the community came out for that and got to that, man. Got to see a lot of the young guys that I used to coach hoop and a lot of community people, man. And we got so much going on in our community in terms of violence with these shorties, man. Everything went great. Seen people we hadn't seen in years, people from out of town. So that we had a great event yesterday. So, man, all in all, everything is cool, man.
Yeah.
Did you lace them back up, man?
Oh no, man.
Oh, come on,
man. That's what I was
lace
I
them
went
back
here. I
up.
said, you gotta get out there, man.
You supposed to lace them back up, bro.
But dig this, man. It was funny because you did have some guys in the community, I think, that were kind of in their feelings. But what they did, they took from about 2008 on up to the present, guys just graduated maybe a year ago, and they had that group to kick it off, which I think was cool. It is for me, and something I'm gonna talk to them about. I think that it would be good for them maybe to have, maybe like a little Legends game or for the older guys to get out there, because hey, them young boys was moving at a speed that I done gained all this weight. Knees ain't none of that smoke, Jack.
Hey, I've been selling wolf tickets to these kids for the last month. Tell them I'm dunk on all y'all, bro. I'm not finna go out there and do it, bro. It's gonna be jump shots and back down, bro. That's
for real. That's it.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was good. I actually posted the video on our YouTube page. I'm gonna put like just a miscellaneous playlist. So we gotta share all the login and passwords. If it's just something that y'all want to post on YouTube under miscellaneous or whatever, feel free to do that. I'll make sure I share all the login and password. So I did post the game today.
Okay.
It still may be streaming, but I posted that. So we did commentary and was able to talk to some people in the house. So
gave y'all shout out.
Yeah, we won half for the I Cut My Way Out podcast. So it's all love, brothers. And it was good. And just one thing I need to add, with everybody being busy, I got one confession to make, and I don't know, I might have to get hit across the head, but man, I cheated on my barber, man. Friday.
Oh, man.
My
condolences.
Yeah, my condolences. Let me take my head out to that.
Man, look, he come in the shop yesterday, and he like, man, you was busy, your schedule was booked, so I had to do it myself.
I cheated on him with myself.
I had to put him back in the chair.
With yourself.
I couldn't let him get on camera yesterday or today. With what he had done to himself. I said, man, I can't let you do
Hey,
I can't let you do that. I had to get him together.
Was it bad?
it wasn't too bad, but it was.
He had that look of shame when he came to you, like, hey.
Took his head off.
It was noticeable.
So I had a mask on because with the monkeypox, and I'm just gonna try to just put like a lot of current stuff to like timestamp our stuff because when this goes out, it's available. It's available in perpetuity,
right?
Forever.
Yes, sir.
But with everything going around, I'm trying to get back on my preventative stuff. So I had on my mask and. And I can't, and in my defense, fellas, I think the reason why I messed myself up is because I got these glasses, and when I took them off, I really couldn't see. And then you trying to get around your ear, and you're trying to, and I got some wall peanuts.
It looked like an L. It looked like an L up here. He was trying to get the curve right. And it looked like an L right up here.
Yeah, man. So I had the mask on. So when I took
strong
it off,
90 degrees.
And then I'm trying to hear him, and I said, man, you see, I I messed myself up, and he just like, man. I said, but you noticed it? He's like, yeah, man, I'm a barber, man.
I mean, that's the first thing I'm looking at that line.
Get in the chair, man. I'm gonna get you right.
We had to straighten him out. I couldn't send him in front of the whole town. He had on a beard culture shirt. Man, I can't send you in front of the town with
it's a video. That. It's a reel that I seen last night, and I was gonna share it to the group text about a person doing stand up about cheating on his barber, and he equated it to cheating, with cheating on his girl, right. And I mean the way it ran, it was literally like his barber was his man. I'm getting my. I need okay.
He ain't got on. Don't just
no. But it was hilarious, man. So I'm gonna share that to the group text, but the group chat. But yeah, other than that, man, it's been good for me, man. I hope the people out there listening like my intro. I did some homework. I noticed that last week I was a little shaky getting us in, so
I thought it was cool.
You know what? I do.
Yeah, it was pretty dope.
Yeah.
But I do want to just get into, the
meat.
Yeah, the stake of the show, and I know that really that situation, and just I'm turning it over to you. I know you spoke with AO personally, and
so
we'll
I
just
put it
chime in whenever.
on. So not last Sunday, the Sunday before, I received a call from my son, and he informed me that one of his best friends, dad had passed away. This gentleman, his dad and my dad, were good friends growing up. His mother and my mother growing up knew each other. Our families were in a small community, so everybody knew each other. And I knew him young, but he ended up becoming a neighbor of mine. He stayed about 4 or 5 houses down from me. And so when he moved in, we had a son. We had more than one son, but we had sons that were the same age. And so immediately when they moved in, they started playing sports on the same teams, went to the same school. And our sons now are 20, about to be 25 years old. So they've been rocking from 6th grade up until now, and they rock real tough. So it allowed me and him to even though he was a few years older, it allowed me and him to get closer. We went to games, we kicked it, and I cut his hair and all his kids for a number of years up until my son got to the point where he would cut some of his son's hair. And I got the call, and of course it was gut and heart wrenching. Total disbelief. He was very outgoing dude, super cool, all about his kids. Like, I mean, go to war about his kids. Great father, man. And biologically had all boys, and then he has a daughter who's biologically not his, but he stepped in when he got with her mother and raised her. And then his current wife, she had couple kids. So, he has 7, 8 kids that he fathered, man, and was an incredible dude. And so when I get this call, like I said, it takes me by storm, kind of knocks the wind out of me. And so the following day, I get another call. My son's the type of dude, my middle son, he don't call me unless he wants something or he's telling me something. So when he called, I'm like, what the hell going on? And my man's mother requested that I cut her son's hair for his homegoing service. Immediately, my son FaceTimed me. I just had to put the phone down. I lost it, was extremely emotional. And the first instinct I had internally was like, man, that's too much for me. Anybody who knows me well knows that I don't deal with death very well. I've had a privilege, but I think it's kind of unfortunate as we get older. I haven't had to experience much death in my life with people that are close. And so, it's crazy. I can go to a funeral of somebody I don't know and probably start crying. just with the thought of, you know, people being deceased, who they leave behind, who depends on them, and then putting myself in their shoes and looking at my family and how they depend on me. You know what I mean? So it's a really, really touchy subject. So I get this call and from my son, say, well, give her the number. She calls me and she's lost her eldest son. And here I am, I'm sobbing and I'm crying. And she's consoling me. And we often talk about our women and you know, our Black women and how strong and you know, all the roles that they have to play. And she was a warrior, you know, she's consoling me. I've lost it. And so I told her, you know, give me an hour, let me get myself together and I'll call you back. And it was at that time that I came just to the realization, as barbers, we often talk about how we are so many things to so many people. We're counselors, we're father figures, we're psychologists, you know, we're all these things, right? And people sit in our chair and they spill, you know, themselves and what they're going through to us. But I never thought about the responsibility that we had or have on the other end. We serve so many people and so many people's families, and we have loyal clients and people that depend on us. And I got to thinking to myself, like, man, it's mighty selfish for me to even not consider doing it, being that I cut his hair for all these years and his son's hair for all these years. And I'm the person who knows exactly how he likes his hair and what he's done to it, you know, and how he keeps it. He loves the curls because, you know, his mother is, you know, she has part Mexican. And so he, you know, the whole family, they known for their curly hair, pretty boys, and, you know, him and all his brothers. And so it was at that time it hit me like, man, I have a real responsibility that goes a lot further than just serving the living. And I didn't know how to deal with it. So I shot the text message onto our you know, our thread, our feed, you know, that we communicate with each other. And AO responded and he was like, I've done about 10 plus. And you know, this is the thing about the camaraderie, man. And you guys don't understand how much I appreciate you guys being on here with us and what it means and just the camaraderie. And I'm not knocking any of the local people, but the first people that I thought about communicating with was you guys. And I really respect you guys as people and what you do. And you guys, like I always say, continue to make me want to thrive and get better and better. And so AO picked up the phone. He said, you know, I'm at the shop. I'm cutting because I could hear the clippers in the background. But he was like, bro, I couldn't just text you back. This was a call that I needed to make. And, you know, he talked about the process and what he went through during the times that he had done it and some of the things that I would go through and some of the expectations that, you know, I would have dealing with a deceased body. And, you know, he didn't sugarcoat anything. He explained, you know, how tough it would be, especially having someone that you know personally. But, you know, it helped me tremendously. And so that following day, so this happened on Sunday. I reached out Monday. I got the call Tuesday, and then or I got the call Monday. They called me Tuesday. I spoke to AO on Tuesday, and then I go cut the head of my partner, you know, on that Wednesday. So right before I went to cut, the thought from my family, my mother, my wife was like, well, you know, maybe you want to take a couple people for support. My uncle used to work in the mortuary business for a while, and my dad offered, you know, out the gate to go with me. But once I talked to AO, and then my wife sent me a YouTube of a Black barber, you know, talking about it with some of the barbers he worked with, went to the mortuary, showed, you know, the body, you know, not the face, but kind of how it all worked. And with those two things, man, something just came over me and said, this is something that you have to tackle by yourself, you know. And I remember AO saying, man, I put my hoodie on, I tied up as tight as I can, I put my headphone where I have no peripheral vision, you know, it's cold in there, I'm just focused on what I'm focused on. And then I know the job is about me, you know what I'm saying, making sure that I get this person right. And so now I'm taking honor in the work I do. And brother, it was just so meaningful. And so I went in there, man. I called my father, I called my uncle, said, I appreciate you guys willing to go with me, but this is something that I have to tackle on my own. I got out the car, man. I prayed going into the funeral home. I went in there and just got down, man. Fell in love with my craft all over again. It's nothing I enjoyed. It was extremely hard, but I was so in tune and concentrating so hard on making sure that I represented him and his family in a positive manner, sending him to his final resting place, that I couldn't even be emotional. Like I was just tuned in and just falling in love with the craft all over again. I'm saying to myself, like, damn, this is what I do. I love it. Love it. Like, you know what I mean? And I hear a lot of people, man, I want to come from behind the chair. I'm at the point, being a little older than you guys, I go home with my aches and pains. I don't want to cut forever at the rate that I cut now, but I love being behind this chair, man. And AO, I want to say publicly, man, I greatly appreciate your advice, your brotherhood, picking up that phone, calling me, being that you've had these experiences. And I just kind of want to touch on it with all of you guys, because I think it's something that we can all understand. Death is something that's real, and a lot of times we don't want to talk about it, but I've never heard barbers talk about it. And so I never thought anything about it. Anything. It never, as crazy as it may sound, if God will, in September, I'll be 46 years old. Up until that point, I never once thought about the possibility. But now I realize with all the clients that I have, I come from a small town. It's a responsibility I have. And who am I? If God put me in this position and he gave me this gift, who am I if I'm helping them when they're breathing? Who am I to tell a family no, when it comes to going on the other side? And so it's emotional for me, but I just want to, also tap in with you guys, and even Jinx, you as a client, and just get you guys' feedback. I don't know, Shy, if you've had that experience up to this point, but it's something that I think all barbers who are serious about their craft and loyal to the people that they service, because it goes both ways, is definitely something that needs to be discussed and at least put, on our conscience to some degree.
So I just want to jump in. Ayo, I'm gonna swing it to you but as you were speaking, I was just thinking, like, and I don't know if this analogy is gonna be right, but it's just on my spirit to say it so people can, but if you're an athlete, a ball player or something, and Shy and AO, you probably can. If you tell me a coach or a player that plays a sport and they ain't been blew out, I'll tell you a coach or a player that ain't been doing it for long. Like, you gonna have them nights where you get the dog shit beat out of you. It just, the other team is, clicking on all cylinders. The other coach got you, he 2 steps ahead of you. It just happens if you've been doing it long enough. So I'll say, as AO, Shy, Aush, if you've been doing it long enough, yeah, you're gonna have a client that, pass away, and probably somebody that, in the family that knows, man, this was his barber, and we'll see. But AO, before you respond to, Aush and what he said and how he, leaned on you, feel free to share your experience, share what you said to him. I mean, like, I'm eager to know, like, be a fly, inside that phone call, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, like, a barber told me one for that, like, if you haven't done it, you're gonna eventually do it. Especially if you love what you do, you're gonna eventually run into that, because you just gotta think about it. Like, out of all the clients you got, think about how many clients that you have and they all value their haircut and they go home with their families and be like, man, my barber the truth, man. My barber always put me y'all barber. And they doing this with their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, their grandmothers, grandfathers. They doing it with their family. So something happens to them, they gonna know you and you never even met them. You know what I'm saying? They gonna know you. Oh, my barber is this, my because of what they did. They took so much pride in their haircut. So they gonna reach out, you know what I'm saying? And it, like I said, I wish like I didn't really have nobody to, you know what I'm saying? I picked up the phone and called Aush like as soon as I seen it because I wish I had somebody to, you know what I'm saying, to tell me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have nobody because I like, you know me, I was just I was just going through the motion with it, you know what I'm saying? But like it happened to one of my clients that was real close to me, you know what I'm saying? Like a couple of them that were real close to me. You know what I'm saying? One played a big part in my basketball journey as a youth, you know what I'm saying, up to adulthood, you know what I'm saying? And one of the guys, he like I was cutting his hair like every other Wednesday for like, man, years, you know, for a long time, you know what I'm saying? So me and him had a schedule like we were like real, you know what I'm saying, real cool throughout that. And I knew him outside of before he started coming to me to get his haircut, but I still knew him outside of the shop. So like I said, we had a close relationship, and it just sometimes you can't expect, you know what I'm saying, like somebody, one of your clients passing, but you get that call, you know, because I like when people like that, I know I ask questions. I ask them like, you know, if they didn't come to me at this time, I'd be like, did they have a haircut? I'm like, I sit on and wait a few days before you know it, you get that call, you know what I'm saying? And it's something you never want to hear, but at the same time, it's a hard thing because you don't want to be the person that tell them like, I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Even though in your heart and your soul, you be like, I really can't do it. But you be on the phone like, yeah, when what time I need to be.
Right.
You believe but you feel that, you know what I'm saying, just that attachment for your clients, you know what I'm saying? And it just be like that. And like I said, when I went in, it definitely was different. You know what I'm saying? It's very different. It's something that I don't care how many times you do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't hear people say, man, I'm used to it. It don't bother me. Nah, if you can have some type of connection with those people, you're going to always put yourself in your shoes. Because once you see it right there, they're at the end. Like, this is the end. Right. Like, they're at, like, this is their last appearance. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you get to put your emotions into their situation. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't a lot of the second time I did it one of my the guy I told you that used to come to me like every other Wednesday. Man, it messed me up for a long time. Like it messed me up because I mean, at that moment I did it, I kind of was like I said, like it take like your fear have you walking a certain way, but once you get to moving, you'll forget. Like I caught myself, I'm cutting and boy, you know, I'm on it like this. I'm like, and I had to realize, I'm like, man, I'm tripping. I'm tripping. I got to like I'm tripping, but you just done got so caught into what you're doing that you hadn't thought about it. Like I said, I was in there with my hoodie tied on my face. The only thing I can see is like this. I can't see nothing from this side, nothing from this. The only thing I can see is straight in front of me. I had headphones in, had my hoodie tied. You know what I'm saying? That what made me feel comfortable. It made me feel like if something else is going on in here or anything going on, I ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm just focused on this right here. You know what I'm saying? But it was after the fact, like, yeah, I had a few sleepless nights, but if you feel like it's gonna disturb your peace, I really think you should not like don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Don't do it. But because I didn't have nobody tell me that, and it like I said, it had me shook up for a little bit. You know, I was, you know, everybody telling me how good I did and they appreciate, you know, that made me feel a lot better. I ain't gonna lie, that made me feel a whole lot better. But outside of that, like we got a condition, so like me, we was real close. Right. So it was like, man, this is, you know what I'm saying? It's different now. It's very different. It's very different. It's something you don't want to get used to. Like I said, it's something like every time, like, you know, it be people that I know that died, and I know they would go to other barbers, and I'd be like, did they get their haircut still? Because I know they're gonna call me because they know I have a reputation. Not a reputation, but I have done it before. And once you do it, the people that works at the funeral home will think that this is what you do. Like, oh, he a barber that does this, and they gonna call you too. Right. They're gonna like, hey, we got somebody down here that need a haircut. We go to the funeral tomorrow. Can you think you can? Oh, that was funny. For one time, it wasn't. I got called by the family. Like it wasn't nothing like that.
Right.
But it's different though. It's not like cutting a live head though at all. I mean, you obviously, but it's like it's like cutting a brick, like a. It's literally feel like cutting a cement brick. The skin has no give, like no life.
Yeah, it was definitely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shy, you want to add anything? Or what are you thinking about? I got so many questions. I mean, I'm sorry, y'all, but if go ahead, Shy, if you want to add anything.
I don't know. I mean, myself personally, no, I've never done that. I've never cut anybody, a client who's passed, but I would think that's mainly because I haven't been cutting hair as long as you guys. So I haven't crossed that road yet. But has it been on my mind before that text message? Absolutely, bro. Because when the pandemic hit, man, when all that mess came about, I lost quite a few clients to it, man.
Wow. Yeah.
There's never a way to prepare for it.
Right.
And it's for me, I think what my challenge is how to be available and be there for the loved ones that they leave behind. Because just like you, Aush, I cut a lot of families, like guys who bring their children, children who bring their fathers and their cousins and their brothers and nephews, sons, and stuff like that. And it was a lot of them cases, man. It was the young guys. They were losing their parents, man. They was losing them pillars of their homes. Right. And they would come in, and their father may have been who introduced them to me. Right. And then they come in and they tell me their father gone, or I done had a few conversations with guys who got hospitalized because of all this, and talking to them on that phone, trying to bring up their spirits. And for me, just to show them that I cared about them, or I care about them beyond the chair, reaching out and making them phone calls when I hear they in a hospital or I hear they not feeling well. You never prepare your mind, or you never accept the reality that conversation could potentially be your last conversation with them people. And in a lot of cases, it was, that phone call was the last time I'm ever going to see that person again, or I ever saw that person again. And that part of it was something that I had to learn how to cope with. I mean, that's just the way the world changed, that forced me to cope with it. Right. But it put my mind in the position of, okay, well, what I know that's a part of barbering. And like you said, it's not a very openly discussed part of barbering, but we all know that it exists. Right. Yeah. And I can't say for sure how that would affect me, nor can I say for sure where that would put my peace or my mind or my heart. But what I can say is I've had the unfortunate, whatever you want to call it, reality of dealing with death for a very, very, very long time. I have a very intimate relationship with death. Right. And I feel like, if it does happen, my life in the way that it, was presented to me and the way the cards played out, it's something that I'll be prepared for, because, there is no limit to giving when it's coming from love, bro. If I love you and I value you as a person, then my mindset, the way I would structure my mind to go into that situation is, this is the most that I can do for this person at this point.
No doubt.
And as long as I have that clear conscience that I've given my all to this person, I've given them all the love I had for them while they were here, this notion is just gratitude to their family, to show them that I do care about this person genuinely. And I would leave my peace there. I got to go on, because unfortunately, dealing with death and not being able to prepare for it is the biggest part of that. Is you still got to live forward.
No doubt. No doubt.
So, brothers, I'm sorry if I gotta ask. I don't have to ask, but I'd like to ask you, brothers. Like in that moment, in that experience, is the funeral home director or are they like in the room with you? Do they leave you in there? How was that? The etiquette of the funeral director in the funeral home, if I may ask.
They would, because like when you come in, they like it's such a different task that when you come in, they automatically assume like, oh, he do this. Obviously, if you hear you do this, you know what I'm saying? So I done been in times where like they'll be done unlock the door, tell you where to go and this and that. I was a little bit like, I don't know my way around here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Show me where I need to go. I don't need to
Right.
be seen. This I ain't gotta be seen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but outside of that, where normally I like probably all the times I went, except for probably like once.
Mhm.
They direct you, you know, they standing there with you because they have to bring them. Sometimes they have to bring the body into a different room or whatever. But outside of that, they normally be in there.
Yeah.
Not a director, but somebody that handles the bodies that's there at the funeral home.
So for me, my experience, and I guess it was all over my face. So when I went in, lady answered the door, and she looked at me and she said, are you okay? You look like, you're not comfortable with this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to, do what I need to do. Am I comfortable? No, I'm not comfortable. This is my first time ever doing this. So they were able to bring the body out of where it was at that particular point in time, and they brought it to a viewing room, and they just put me in there by myself, closed the door, and those headphones and that music, that was my serenity, once, and the sound of, the feel of those clippers, really just put me in a zone. But it was one particular incident. So they would, come in and out every once in a while, see if I needed anything. So it was a brother who years ago, he used to find out I used to date one of my cousins on my dad's side. He worked for the funeral home. So I'm walking around and I'm getting my clippers together, and something made me turn around. This dude just standing behind me with a check in his hand, but he ain't saying nothing. Then he started laughing. I'm just playing. I was trying to scare him, like, man, you gonna mess around and get hit upside your head with these damn clippers. This ain't the place to be playing. I'm in here.
Oh yeah, they be thinking it's funny though. Like they know. Like people from the funeral, they know. They be knowing when somebody is on uneasy, and that's their humor though. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the type of humor they have. They
And I
surrounded
was
by
gonna
death all day.
ask,
So
I
that'd be
was
like the
gonna
perfect
ask
moment for
if you
them.
like found yourself talking to them or turn your head or something like that, just naturally. But then when you say y'all had your headphones on, and, so it's just like, okay, yeah.
I was kind of talking from the heart, and he looked very peaceful, and he looked so much like himself at the time. Sometimes I just kind of zoned out, like I was expecting him to wake up and say something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'll do that. You'll do that.
Yeah, it was pretty deep. One of the things that and I didn't understand it going in. So my uncle, working in the mortuary business, was like, "Well, that's a premium price." I said, "Uncle, I ain't doing this to get paid. I don't want no money. This was my man's. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want no money from this." But they gave me a check, and I didn't realize, like, that's part of the process with the funeral home, is that
burial,
they in the burial, I guess they charge the families, and so I'm telling them, like, nah, I don't want the check. So the wife, we talked to his wife. She was like, Aush, you need to take the check, and so I ended up taking the check, but it's not something that I wanted, you know what I mean, because I've done it out of the love of my heart. And I don't want this to just be a down, episode, but I really just felt like it was something. It's been weighing heavy on my heart. Sometimes I'm in a space where I just blank out and I'm seeing his face. I'm remembering the laughter and some of the jokes and all that, and just the reality of just the finality. That was it. I'll never see him on this side again, and so that's a tough thought to really process for me still. But on the other hand, you know, having you brothers to lean on, having my wife to lean on, and just realizing that what we do, we often talk about all the things that we are, and so many times you don't hear about this piece. And so I just want to give a shout out to all my barbers, because like you said, it's if you do it long enough, you're gonna have that day. And I don't think it's really a whether you do it 4 years, whether you do it 20 years, just some situations occur, and I don't wish it on anybody. And that's one thing AO told me: if it don't feel right in your spirit, I would tell you don't do it. But honestly, I really, just with the connection, the relationship, the love I have for him and his family, knowing the kids, son stayed all night at my house, my son stayed at night at his house, I couldn't, there was no way I could tell, no matter how I felt, at that point, I felt like there was no way that I could tell his mother no. And it was kind of funny at the time. She was like, Aush, Jeff loves his curls. He's at a good funeral home, but I don't want them white people playing in my baby hair because they don't know how to do my baby's hair. So then that just, and she didn't mean to throw that pressure, but I'm like, yeah, I got to make sure that he's right. And like you talked about, AO, he was like, afterward, man, I heard so many people, man, you laid his hair out, and man, he looked really good, and it just was an honor and privilege. It was hard, but I just realized, without thinking in the past, that it's just a part of life, and when God calls us to it and He gives us this gift, it comes with some responsibilities that some people don't think about or haven't been confronted with. So again, I appreciate that advice, man. You guided me, hopefully Shy is something that you never have to go through, but having AO been through it, now I've done it once. Now you have somebody that you can lean on, if you ever have to be in that situation. And I think that's what's great about the camaraderie and the brotherhood. And I just want to give a shout out to barbers, hairstylists, cosmetologists, because we have heavy work to do, and sometimes it goes unnoticed. They think we're just behind the chair and we just cut hair, and it's so much more than that.
So I do got a question, man. This did just bring up a question that I'm thinking of with this. And okay, if you take the relationship that client out of it, right? Now we're just talking about deceased people, right?
Right.
And it's being rendered for the funeral homes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a business venture that you could ever see yourself partaking in, or do you see any potential in that business model?
As far as once I left, because my uncle was like, man, people do this for a living, and I never eat. Like I said, I was just almost like a blonde, man. I just never thought about it, bro. But
and they make good money too. Like,
they
be paying like
right,
and
that's what we're talking about. It is a service out there for people who are who can stomach that, and they pay well, I guess depending on where you are, you can set your prices, whatever. So it is another avenue, in the business for people, because everybody doesn't deal with death the same. I surprised myself, my mother was worried about me. My wife was worried about me just because of how I deal with death. But I think also, I'm hitting a stride in my life, man. Me and my wife, chose to get saved a little over a month ago. We got baptized together. It's hitting a stride in my life, man, where I'm just aiming to be better, and whatever. I won't throw religion, spirituality on anyone else. Whatever works to help a person become a better person, I'm all for it. And so for me, I think it was God just another step, because again, it's the reality, and I just went through a situation with my mother, Had to fly out to Arizona, man. Had to deal with that, man. Then I get back a week later. My father-in-law, you know what I'm saying? You know, he had a situation, you know, and so all of our parents, my mother, my wife, excuse me, is adopted. So she has two sets of parents, but all of our parents are in the same age range, right? And they're not getting any younger. I'm not getting any younger. And so I look at it like maybe it was just, you know, a walk that I had to take, God wanted me to take, like, man, this is real and it's a part of life. And I've allowed you to get away with not having to deal with it on you know, time after time for so long. So going in there and not having any emotion, I didn't cry or anything. I felt it was heavy, but I don't know. That's a good question, Shy. It's a good question. I would say no right now, but you know, as I continue to mature spiritually, I don't know. That's a good question. But for those who do it, it's definitely a service that's out there. You know, we got people dying every day, unfortunately, you know, with these young Thundercats out here killing each other. So unfortunately, there's plenty of money and bodies to be had, unfortunately. So somebody out there who's into that is definitely a service that can be rendered.
I got a question. So would you take all the wireless joints, or did you take anything that needed to be plugged
Man,
in?
look,
what was your thought process
that
going
was
in?
when I went and I started packing up, and I'm that type of dude. I take more than I need, right? I'd rather have more than not have enough. And I ended up forgetting one of my go-to clippers, to be honest. But I was so thankful for cordless clippers. I'm like, damn, everything just aligned right on time. Man,
How long did it take you to cut it?
you know what, man? I was there for about an hour 30.
Dang, that's
Like,
a long time. Man.
like I fell in love with it. Every loose hair. I'm like, this is the finale. This is the last time that I will have the honor to share space with this person. Plus, it was a request from his mom, his wife, and his children. So I have this responsibility. So I'm in no rush.
You would take a pride in it at that moment.
You know, I was in it, man. I was in it. I wasn't getting ready to give him a drive-by. I gave him everything I had.
Nice.
Yeah, that's how I do.
Yeah.
Like, man, somebody calling me, man. I'm trying to get this on. There you go. Yeah, a lot of people tell you like they want you to cut from ear to ear. You know what I'm saying? Over the top, from ear to ear.
Yep.
And like some people, in certain cases, they would just cut the viewing side, you know, and leave it at that. Man, I give you the whole everything across. Like I would give you, I'm doing the same thing on the beard on this side, and I'm doing on both. If you try to sneak around trying to see if you can, oh no, it gonna look like he sat in the chair. Like I'm gonna give you the full, and you will find yourself getting it because when you first get there, you know, like my first time doing it, you would be a little timid. You would be like, this might not do like I think it is. For you know, as you going through the cut for long, your ability kicks in, and for you know it, it's like I do this every day. You know what I'm saying? And as you going, now you don't perfected this haircut, and in reality, people don't believe it or not. It's not every day that actual barbers do that type of work.
Right.
Like they'll have somebody at the funeral home just to clean it up. You know what I'm saying? They don't really be caring how, you know, if the line's straight or this and that. We just gonna make it look neat, you know, just, you know, make it look nice. And then they tax for that. Like those people, they halfway, you know, a lot of times they don't really do a great job, but they be paying like $200 to $300 for a haircut.
Yep. I was going to say it's a lot, and that's what I found out. It's an allotment for that. It's a service that they pay for that's part of the
arrangement.
Yep.
That's a part of the arrangement. Like, and it'd be like I said, like $200 or $300, and I'd be like, wow, like they making that much money. And like I said, a lot of the guys that be doing it, they're not even actual barbers. They just be people that's, you know, I work at the funeral home, you know. So I mean, we can't really do too much wrong, you know. Like we just clean it up, you know what I'm saying? That's just what they do.
Yep.
But when you actually see
Period.
an actual barber cut it, you would be like, oh, like who cut his hair? Like who did it? Like it's definitely this ain't just no regular deceased haircut right here. Somebody knew what they were doing. You know what I'm saying?
I hit him with the razor, everything.
I was gonna ask that.
Yeah.
And it's hard too. It's hard to do that, boy. It's hard.
It's definitely
you gotta take you gotta get off in there because it's man.
Yeah.
Cause the skin don't budge. Like it don't budge. But the thing about it though, you know, like it's I hate to say it like this, like the hair comes right off though. It's like you ain't gotta go back over nothing. It's just it's coming off. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I did a bald fade, did enhancement on the beard, put the pencil on him. Like I'm talking about shape the beard up. I'm talking about went to the back.
This is fascinating. I mean,
I enhanced him everything. Like I just really I hated to do it, and I hated the circumstances. I just fell in love with the art while I was doing it. Between my hip hop and them clippers was just like I gotta be here. I couldn't tell her no. So just it all fell in line, man.
What was you listening to? Like you said,
man, I had a playlist on, so I listened, listen to a little bit of everything. So I was just real talk.
Hey, that's a good question. What would you listen to if you was in that spot, Kenny? What would be your pick of music?
Who, me?
Yeah, what would you listen to?
Man, I would probably go to my favorite records. Probably on the way there, I would listen to maybe some Kanye. That's one of my go-to artists. Coffee Brown off After Party. That's probably one of my favorite records of all time. But when I get there, probably like Anita Baker or gospel. I love gospel. I mean, Lonnie Hunter and the Voices of St. Mark, Kirk Franklin, the second album, What You're Looking For, is one of my favorite albums. So probably some gospel.
That would have broke me down.
Really?
It would have broke me down.
Okay.
What did you end up listening to, Aush?
I listened to y'all familiar with Griselda, Conway, Benny the Butcher, 38 Special, Busta Rhymes, like my I mean MJG, 8 Ball, Jeezy, Jay-Z. Like I had on my playlist, but I just shuffled it.
So you had an up tempo going.
Absolutely, but it was so crazy because sometimes I have in my shuffle not stuff that I don't like, but sometimes the timing, it based on how you feel, the timing ain't right. So sometimes
you just skip. Yeah.
And I did not have to skip through anything.
So it was right on time.
It was a perfect playlist. It was a perfect playlist. It just upbeat, man. I was just zoned out.
What about you, AO? What was your vibe, man? What was your music choice vibe?
Man, I got it. Like I had a little playlist of some of the stuff that I think of, like the music. Like I got certain playlists I listen to when I'm cooking too. So I had went in with the thought of a playlist, but man, it got like sometimes you might shuffle and you might like I had gloves on. I didn't want to keep touching my phone. Like, I put my phone down and let it play. And man, it got stuck on Ride Wave. Heart been broke so many times. I was like, oh my God. But I, like to this day, every time I hear that song, like I can be wherever I'm at. Like if I hear that song, like it's gonna take me to that. It take me back to that moment.
Yeah, every time. I can see
it. It really didn't bring me down. Like it kind of like the play. Like it got stuck right there. Like I started off with Dolls, and before I know it ended up on that song. I was like, dang. This song long, and I was like, this song that came on again. You know what I'm saying? I said, oh my God, it must have been the last song to play this or something. Like, why is it keep like what's going on? And I just kept listening to it, and before I know it, that song became I wasn't even really a fan of that song at that time. But after that, I really like that song now. But every time I hear that song,
No, I was saying, and he definitely has.
Man, every time I hear that song, like no matter where I'm at, like I could be in the club, toe up, and I'm just like, dang. Every time I hear this song, like every time I hear it, it's just like it always take me back to that moment.
Yeah.
Cause I was real cool with the dude. Like me and him, we hunt like man, I was real cool with him. You know what I'm saying? It just his situation. You know what I'm saying? He had a beautiful family, man. You know what I'm saying? He was a real outstanding father. You know what I'm saying? Right. We had just had a big all black party like not too long before that. We all kicked it in. My cousin for her birthday, and like it was just like man, we lost he was like a big part of the community, big part of the whole. He bled McGee. You know what I'm saying, through and through. So like everybody knew him. Like everybody knew him. You know what I'm saying? He got like 6 daughters. You know what I'm saying? Like it was very like one of his last photos. You know what I'm saying? That he posted on his profile picture was a picture he took in the shop. You know what I'm saying? A selfie he took in the shop, and it was the picture they used on the news. And when they used it on the link for the news, it was like. Everybody was talking about his haircut then on the picture, and it was like me and him were real close. So it was real different. It wasn't like I seen this dude probably like man, I'm talking about 3 or 4 times out the week. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes he would stop by the shop or see him at high school football games. You know what I'm saying? Might see him at a little party or kickback the weekend. Then he was coming by and getting his haircut. So it was like I always seen him, you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, G Fly, you know what I'm saying? That was the name Willie Davis. He went by G Fly, you know what I'm saying? He a real Simpson County legend, you know what I'm saying? So it's like when the family called me, it was like, yeah, I got to do this, you know what I'm saying? I got to do this, you know what I'm saying? Like his younger brother, I'm real cool with his younger brother, you know what I'm saying? A lot of his cousins, you know, I'm real cool with him. You know what I'm saying? He was basically like family to me, so it was like it seemed like that ride wave just made me just like, you know what? This is what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? I just was zoned out. It was like I wasn't even there. When I left, I was telling myself, like, bro, I really can't believe you just did that. Like, you done crashed out, man. I ain't no way you just did that. Right. You really just did that. And I sat in the car in the funeral home for a minute, just sitting down and was like, boy, you done lost your mind. Ain't no way you just did that. Because the whole time I'm dreading, like, I'm up early that morning, like, man, I got to go here today. Like, oh, man. What I'm gonna do? Because the way he lost his life was so controversial to the point where it's like you don't know what to expect. You didn't know what you was gonna see. You didn't know how it was gonna go down. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot going around it. So it was man, it had the whole town down. So like the emotion was high already. So it was just like I said, it was different. Yeah. It was real different. But that was a song that man, I don't know how my phone got stuck on that song. I would listen to Dog, Meek Mill, a little bit of Meek Mill came on, had some Boosie playing, and before I know it, just boom, I'm on Ride Wave. I think, got on Ride Wave, and it just played that same song. Like I'm talking, I played that song probably 4 times in a row.
Wow. So Shy, what would you listen to?
Me personally, bro, I'm gonna have to go with some Smino, some Spillage Village, maybe some Erykah Badu to just mix it up and feel. Those like my go-to artists, man. Just in the shop, if I'm having a bad day, I could put.
So if Next Lifetime come on, is you gonna be all right?
Yeah, I'm straight because I've already associated something in my life with that song. You know what I mean?
Hey, and that's my record too. I love that record.
Yeah, I feel like I said, or like AO said, a lot of music, man, when you listen to it, sometimes songs attach themselves to memories. Right. And songs attach themselves to moments in your life. Right. So if I'm playing them songs, even when I'm here in the shop, of course my clients and the other barbers in here don't know it. But a lot of times when I'm shifting through, I'm playing them songs for a reason because it's helping me escape whatever I want to get away from mentally or emotionally in that moment in the shop. Because we barbers, we cut hair, it's our profession, but at the end of the day, we human beings, man. We going through a lot of stuff that's not business related, that's not shop related. I may come in the shop with a heavy heart or a heavy mind or just had a shitty week. Right. But I have to take everything I'm dealing with, leave it in my car, and not allow it to sneak its way back into my services or sneak its way back into my customer service experience. Right. So a lot of time that music helps me escape that in my mind, and I feel like I would apply it to that too. So those are my go-to.
Yeah, I'm just one, music speaks to me. It's like spiritually. Like if I'd have had gospel on, I'd have probably drowned in that damn room. I'd have cried so much.
I probably wouldn't have it. It's just it just sounded good, and I do like gospel.
Mhm.
Like I really like fuck with gospel music. Like
I'd have flooded the room. I'd have cried so much. They'd have had to send a lifeguard in there.
I'm with you on that, bro. Because if Tamala Man come on, it's fucking over with me.
Right.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. You know, she was with
Right.
Kirk
Tamala don't
Franklin
just
on
sing
that
to the
album that
mic,
I
bro.
was saying. Yeah.
Tamala don't sing to the mic. She
You right.
sing to your soul, bro. So
You know?
no.
For real. I wouldn't have been no good. He would have been all wet. His hair would have been it'd have been bad, bro. So I
was in the barbershop. I was in the barbershop, man, after my brother passed. And I'm in the shop. Actually, I was in the school. I'm in the school cutting some hair. And I just got my, you know how you play your Apple Music and it just play, you know, your recently listened to songs and what you like with your preference. Man, some what is his name, man? Anthony Brown and Group Therapy. He Thought I Was Worth Saving came on, bro. That shit up so bad, bro. I had to go to the bathroom and get myself back together, bro.
Yeah.
That music, he got a way of getting to you, boy.
Yeah.
That's that music is nothing but emotion can hear.
Yeah, no doubt.
I've been fascinated. I mean, it started, you know, the topic started. I think this is great. I mean, as the moderator,
I want to shift the kids a little bit, man.
Okay, let's shift it.
So a question got proposed in the shop the other day by one of the guys, one of the barbers in here, man, and it was a very interesting question, man. It was a great question. He a young guy. He just turned 21.
Okay.
But he turned 21 a few months ago, and he was asking. He said, so if a parent comes by the shop and just send their kid in the shop to get their hair cut, who's responsible for that child while they're there?
In my opinion, just through experience, and I know on one side of my head, I know the right answer what it should be, but I feel like if he's my client, then he becomes my responsibility. But I think the right answer is, and it's something that we went away from community basis, it takes a village to raise a child. You know what I mean? And so I definitely think that, you know, but then also it kind of depends on the barbers and their maturity level. Cause I know I have some mothers, if they were to send their kids in here, you know, the respect that they have for me and the respect the kids have for me and I have for them, then, you know, it might be a situation if another barber outside of my son were to say something, they might get a little angry. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, no matter whether their kid was in the wrong or not. So probably that barber, but I think adults in the respect, as long as it's respectful and we're redirecting the kid in the right way, it takes a village to raise a child, man.
Hey yo.
Give it. I ain't gonna lie, man. It just depends, you know what I'm saying? It depends on it depends on like the manner of it, because like I done seen it so many times. Like if you got little baby, he bad, you know he bad, everybody around, you know he bad, like don't drop him off here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't put me in that situation, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? If you know he caused trouble, he showing out everywhere, he giving you trouble, you happy you dropped him off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't put us in that situation, you know what I'm saying? Because if you dropping him out, that means you basically said it's okay if we tell him to sit down. It's okay if we set him straight. Not saying we gonna put our hands on anything, but what I'm saying is like he gonna be he paying the test because people do it sometimes. They'll drop their kids off and gone, and kid ain't got their haircut. You still ain't made. I'm like, woo, like you know what I'm saying. But then you come back, he done broke his arm because he was standing on the chair that we told him 10 times not to stand on, and he basically told us he gonna do what he want to do. Now you mad at us because we let him do it, but you dropped him off.
You ain't my daddy,
right? Yeah. It be kids like that sometimes, but so sometimes when it It's a sensitive one. It's a sensitive one, man, because you see so much these days, man. Like if it's to that point, I'll be like, hey, you had to come back. But I always joke with my client though. I mess with them, you know what I'm saying? They drop I said, like it's a fee. This a babysit fee. You gotta pay a fee for that.
Right, this ain't no daycare.
You know what I'm saying? This is not the daycare. We couldn't hurt. We ain't raising them now.
It's a difficult situation, man. I'm with Aush. At some point, but my answer to the young brother, his name is Westside Barber. If y'all want to follow him on Instagram, that's
Westside Barber. Okay.
WESSYDEBARBER. But when he asked that question, man, it was a good question because be it that, this is the season for back to school, you have influx of kids coming in the shop, and you got some parents that, they'll do that. They'll bring their kid, even if it's their first time at the shop.
Right.
Have associated the barbershop as the community. So they bring their kids and they might just send their kid in, and you don't know if the mother outside or if they done pulled off. Then you got ones that come in and say, hey, I'll be back in a minute, and they'll leave.
Right.
And then on one hand, in the back of your mind as a parent and as a barber, you working. This is work. I'm at work. I got people who waiting. I got other people in here I'm tending to, and I'm trying to maintain the environment. We all working. We flowing in the shop. It's like it's a little selfish of you as a parent to come in and expect me to then take on the responsibility of watching your child. That's your responsibility. But my answer to him was a lot like yours. I feel like if the appointment is with you, then it's automatically assumed that you're gonna be the person to oversee.
Right.
But as it pertains to the shop, it's all of us working in the shop responsibility to make sure that child stays in line and he's looked after and more so protected. Because in the shop anything can happen. Like AO said, he could fall off something. He could hurt somebody else. He could snatch something down and break something. It's a lot of things that can happen. So it's that village mindset to take all of us to pay attention and be aware of the environment and what's going on.
Right.
But I say all that politically to say in the back of my mind, fuck all that, man. You dropped your kid off, and what happens to your kid is what happens to your kid. You dropped them off.
Right.
As a parent, you should never be comfortable. I don't care how much I know somebody. I'm never gonna be comfortable enough to send my daughter somewhere and then leave. That's just never gonna happen, bro.
But I think, and I agree with that with this era. But like when I was growing up, like my uncle was a barber, right? And being in a small town, a small community, granted it was my uncle, but that was where young men and kids learned to see how, especially if you didn't have your father in the house, how men, socialize, and you were just around men, and that was our time to be around men and just kind of see how men function. You know what I mean? And it was at that time when any barber in the shop could tell you, man, you better sit down. Yeah. And your mother didn't have a problem with it. Now you got these mothers, you can't tell their kids to say nothing, to do nothing, and they angry and they want a box, but they kid bad as hell. So I agree with you, because I'm not for any babysitting. Now, if somebody need to run to the car, okay, he cool. You can leave him here while you run to the car and come back. I'm cool with that. But I got so much going on, and I don't know what may happen that I'm not open to babysitting. I'm not running a babysitting services. That's not what I do, but
it's hard to keep your eye on your client and somebody.
Absolutely.
Let me see.
Absolutely. But I think, there was an era where it was more acceptable, you know what I mean? And everybody was cool because the expectation was we all in this together.
Yeah. I think a lot of that changed too, though, man, because if you're thinking about it in a sense of eras, I know for me, and I'm assuming from the way that you guys carry yourself, no one have to tell you to sit down, don't do this, don't do that if you got dropped off in the shop, because you knew your mama wasn't going for that. If that word your OG that you was acting a fool, that haircut is the least of your worries.
Absolutely. But it was also, not only did I know my mom wasn't G'ing for it, but I knew at the same time she gave those elders, they were elders, they were pillars of our community. She gave them the okay that if you need to snatch him up in his collar, get with it. Now we I worked in a school for 20 years. I went from being in a school where if you got in trouble in classroom, you get home, your mom asked you, what did you do to get in trouble? Now the kid go home and the mom is asking, well, what did that teacher do to you? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, then I got another question. Let's keep this rocking, my boy. I got a whole bunch of topics on this. Let me ask you this. Are you guys seeing a difference in the behavior of kids who come to the shop with their mothers versus kids who come to the shop with their fathers?
Absolutely.
You know, for me, man, it's so unfortunate. The one thing that I have is being a little older and having kids. The kids that I do have, it's one of those relationships like they'll come in, and if they done something wrong, their mom might say, well, tell Mr. Aush what you did. And so the respect is there. Unfortunately, man, probably just in the barbershop as a whole right now, it's just me and my son. We probably have 90% of the young men come in here that we cut their hair. It's probably 90% of them come with their moms, and it's sad, bro.
I was just brothers, I was just in here yesterday, and I came twice, Friday and Saturday, and all the young kids, the youngsters 10 and under, was in here with a female, a woman, adult, and I was going. That definitely, like, it had to be like a topic. I mean, we hitting it now, but I mean, we could have another episode just about that and just the expectation. But and with me, like, I bring my children to the shop, and I have one that is on the spectrum, and so he can get a little, like, he'll try to dominate a conversation, and when grown folks talking, he'll interject with some things that's going on in his mind. And so I'll be like, Devin, calm down, chill out, but for me, I feel like this is a time where I can bring my children to the shop and have them, around other men and black men and just to give them a blueprint, So like you said, Sha, like, I'm not, I may, because it's my brother, I probably, if I'm running late or something and they mom drop them off, go on in there. But, he very nice and not, going, like, hopefully he'll make sure that they in line, and he hopefully go without saying that if he gotta make sure that they doing what they need to do in his shop, in his place of business, in his second domain besides his regular home, that he can do that. He got my permission and his mama. So, yeah, man. So I think ultimately it's my responsibility. I'm not gonna just drop them off and not show up.
And it's crazy because I'm old school, but also I give out even to young kids what I expect in return. So, I'm calling the little ladies, ma'am. We have a natural hairstylist in here, loctician. When little girls come in, if it's a little guy, ma'am, or if I got a nickname or whatever. But it's crazy because I also have some Caucasian clients, that are young men, and they come in. A lot of them come in here with their mother as well.
Yeah, I noticed that too with your shop.
And it'll blow your mind, man. Have you experienced? Because this is something that I've been noticing cutting here. I cut their father's hair. I've been and cut the father's hair. But every time the son comes to the shop, it's the mother or the aunt or the sister or something like that. And don't get me wrong, it's not everybody. And I also understand that, schedules conflict. Maybe sometimes, or maybe most times, in most people's cases, in some people cases, it's just better for that schedule for the mom to bring them. It's just better for the schedule for somebody else to bring them. But I think part of that is we're robbing them kids of them experiences, because there is no experience in the barbershop like being in the barbershop as a young man with your father. That's putting you on the road to understanding what it means to be a man, how to socialize as a man, understanding man law, man rules, hierarchy, everything. It's so many different spectrum of things that's taught to young men in the barbershop. But I think the most important part of that is to be facilitating that and experience that growth and learning with your father, with your elder.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I think, and I think this speaks to where we are as a nation in urban areas, because we don't know how to deal with each other. you can be in a barbershop back in the day and, cats are going back and forth. Like he was here yesterday and him and one of my clients talking about sports and they're going back and forth, but it's all love. Even if we can agree to disagree, still shake hands and give a man hug and be out. All right, I'll see you next time I'm in here. I'll see you next week. You know what I mean? Now our young men, they looking at each other and it's so easy to shoot another because you haven't seen how men interact when they're in a good space or when they disagree and be able to go in different directions, but still have that respect. I think one of the things like the booking app, it's a great thing and I love it, but it takes some of that away with what at least in our community, what barbershops used to be in our community when I was growing up is no longer what they were. It really isn't, man. And sometimes like I cut with my son. My son is 24, about to be 25. When I have kids come in here, we'll play a certain type of music and certain things that I'm going to have because I have, I feel that responsibility. Now, some parents you'll have like, oh, it's cool. They listen to that shit at home. You know what I mean? and don't get me wrong, because I was a young parent. So we parented the best that we could, but we were young. So certain music and
you grew up in the Snoop Dogg era.
But
we don't let these out.
We also it was a right from wrong. You know what I mean? Like that's one thing with my kids that nobody will ever say. My kids are extremely respectful. You know what I mean? Me and a couple of my kids, we go at it and I'll be wanting to punch them in the throat now because they think they're grown, but that was never an issue. Now that respect thing, it's different, bro.
Yeah, I notice it a lot, man. And I notice it even in the mannerisms of the kids, man. Once you get them in your chair, you notice that certain mannerisms that a child who comes in the shop with primarily with his mother is different from a child that comes in the shop with his father, man. Because a lot of times, especially if the father gets his haircut there too, that child is able to observe his father's mannerisms in the chair. He's able to observe his father's way of getting his haircut, and they get in the chair and just without knowing, they mimicking that. Right. They mimicking what their dad do. It's the same thing can be said about fathers that get in the chair because we all got grown men clients that move around like kids.
Right.
And their kids get in the chair and they mimic that. They do the same thing. Yep. But it's something that we discuss in the shop sometimes, man. I feel like in the sense of keeping the tradition of the barbershop, that's one very, very big tradition that is becoming few and far in between, man. And I wonder often, is that something that's going to affect, or is that something that's already affecting the way that young men are coming up in this world, man, because they missing those bonding periods in their life. They missing
100%.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
Even and not to get all the way off, but just since we've potted, I mean, that do you buy McDonald's for all the kids? That took the nation by storm for 3 days or 4 days. You know what I'm saying? And even in I think what you're saying is that's all a reflection of perception and how we view things, and just it's crazy. Like people lost friends over that. You know what I'm saying? And it was fake the whole time.
Was it? So two things for me as a father with my sons. I had to, and there are other things I was always going to be present, parent-teacher conferences, events, whether it can be music, it can be sports, it don't matter, it's all the same. But I'm taking them to get their haircut, and any shoes that we buying, I'm going. You know what I'm saying? Like that was, for me as a father, that was like, man, you go get fresh and you go get fresh. You love, and that's a bonding moment. Like I don't understand. Even when me and my wife got together, my stepson, who was my son like the rest of my kids, he was 2.5 years old. He's 29 years old now.
Dang.
But I took on that responsibility. I took him to get his haircut. When he got his shoes, whether he played the sport, like, I don't understand. And I'm not knocking these fathers, but time is something that you can't get back, right? And I see now, how fast they grow and how quick they become adults. And, if you're not modeling what a man should look like and how he should function, then you allow the TV and music to then raise your kids and show them a misperception, a misguided perception of what it looks like, not realizing that's entertainment. You know what I mean? And that's how a lot of these kids are walking around, and that's how they function. And the more and more I think about it with the question you raised, I'm trying to think of 5 male clients that I have that bring their kids in here, man. Like, it's a struggle. Like, I'm really trying to break it down.
Yeah. And I think it turns into a point where if you think about the way that kids are interacting, even if you just sit and you observe them, or if you watch these videos, or you just hear about, news articles, unfortunately, we got a lot of them killing each other. But what you notice is, if you leave adolescents to govern themselves, they have no guidance because they have no experience to draw that next decision from.
Right.
Where you create the moments of bonding, like you said, something as simple as a sports debate inside of a barbershop amongst a room full of men can show you how to get your point across, say what you need to say, stand on your feelings, and be held accountable for what you say in a respectable manner.
Absolutely.
And in a way that you don't create an enemy, or you don't create this tension that's unnecessary because you have different views.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was some of the best debates about anything, just life period, going in the barbershop.
Barbershop.
You know what I'm saying?
I tell my wife all the time, man, you need to come in here and just listen, because women got this perception that all we talking about is women and sports, and
women.
We talk about religion, politics, women, sports, stocks,
Yep.
the mindset. We done sat in here and talked about space for like 4 hours, bro. And it's like everybody walk around as human beings with all these things on our mind, man. But it's rare that you get an opportunity to share your thoughts with somebody, and even more rare to find somebody who has those same opinions or those same thoughts.
Absolutely. Like for me, I'm real big. Like, my love has shifted from sports, and another topic for another day, but I'm a true believer. And I don't know how you guys feel about this. And me and Jinx, we've talked about it. I think sports in the Black community has done more harm than it's done good, based on mass numbers. Everybody wants to, I was growing up, everybody wanted to be a basketball or football player. And when that didn't come through, they didn't know what direction to turn to. And I went through that myself. So I watch a lot of documentaries and a lot of informative stuff. So when you come to my barbershop, it ain't a lot of music, because the music that I like, it's not appropriate for kids. You know what I mean? And so I spend a lot of time watching documentaries and just, it might be interviews, Vlad TV, or, always something informative. You know what I mean? Just not a whole lot of music. We can have conversations and be heard, because when you put kids in that realm, you want to give them something that they don't see otherwise, and it's a lot of the kids that they don't,
Yeah.
You just made me think about something else with what you just said, as far as like not having a direction after sports, right? Mm-hmm. So another discussion we was having in the barbershop that I think this is a great platform to have this discussion, and it goes back into the kids. Do you feel like that as an African-American community, man? Because I can't speak on another community, because baby, I'm Black through and through. Yes, so my question is, do you feel like as African-American men and women in this community that we force our kids out the home too soon?
You know what? That's a good topic, and I heard it, and I 100% agree with that that we have a mentality that when you're 18, do we force our kids out the home?
Absolutely.
When they're 18, it's time to get out.
Absolutely.
100%. I agree with you. We force them out the nest way too soon because at 18, you haven't built anything stable. Your mind is not stable. Your bank account is not stable. Your day-to-day interactions aren't stable. And so you throw an 18-year-old out there to fend for themselves, you're going to get what you get. And that's what we're looking at, Unfortunately, on the flip side, though, it's so popular, for kids. Like when my son got out of barber school, I said, man, come back to the crib, man, live at the crib 6 months a year, stack your money up, you know what I mean? But by then, him and his girlfriend and Snuck, they was living in the apartment at barber school together, and what no turning back. But I definitely believe that we have this mentality at 18, you're grown and fend for yourself. But it's a lot of them parents who throwing them kids out at 18 ain't got their shit together, and they grown. So what do you expect?
Now you speaking to what I'm thinking, man. I feel like let me say this first. All of our parents did the best that they could.
Right.
They did what they could, and you know what you know and what you don't know. You cannot be condemned for what you don't know.
Absolutely.
And I feel like as we move forward faster and faster to times, the education is at a fingertip. The numbers, the statistics are at a fingertip. You can always find this information and better educate yourself on what's working and what's not working. Whereas our parents and their parents before them, they didn't have that information. They only went on what they were taught generationally, what was passed down through generations. And that conversation came up, man, like you were saying. We have all this debate about why the youth is the way they are, who's responsible for the condition that they're in. But it's everybody, man. If we forcing the kids out at 17, 18 years old, and even before we force them out, we preconditioning them to believe that they need to be ready to be out by that time. We're not even taking the time to consider all the baggage that we handed down to them that we were given. Right. All of us as human beings have something that your environment induced into you, whether it was positive or negative. It's a part of who you are. It's a part of your character. It's a part of your condition, your mindset, everything. And you may be able to cope with it. But when I pass that thing that's in me down to my daughter or to my son, they may not be able to cope with that. They may change the condition of who their character is when they turn 18. Right. It may shift them to a place where, it's almost like rolling the dice. If I'm putting you out at 18, I'm rolling the dice hoping that you get out there and don't crap out. Right. But I haven't taken the time to help you cope with those things or repair those things. And as a parent, am I doing the repairs within myself? Right. So I better understand me and understand how I'm teaching you. Right. And it's unfortunate in our community, man. And I look at it, we were looking at it in here in comparison to a lot of the other, races that we know and we have close relationships with, and comparing them. And, they kids, they in their house till they 26, 27. Some of them live in their house until they well within their 30s. They don't leave until they married, or they don't leave until they had kids and
ready to buy a home.
Yeah, absolutely. Or they in the house preparing to buy a home. Their parents are teaching them to trade on how to save, how to budget, how to this, how to that. Not just financial responsibility, but responsibility for being a life, being a functioning adult. Right. And it's insane to me that we expect our kids to be successful and we push them out the nest so early.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I man, it's
absolutely.
Yeah, that to me it ain't even no gray. It's black and white. We do it. Our delegation does that too much and too often, and it's not the right thing to do as far as setting especially our boys up for success later on in life. Like I told mine, I got a 14 and a 12, about to be 15 and 13, that I would love for you to stay here, and I'm just learning stuff in my mid-40s that I'm trying to, pass on to them. And just as far as money and investing and Robin Hood and Weeble is great because you don't need the Charles Schwab man. You know what I'm saying? You can start with $10, $100, whereas Charles Schwab, Morgan Stanley, they really blowing you off if you ain't got at least 15, 20,000, so that foundation just got to be set in those years. And when they get 25, 30, man, now you're ready. And the white delegation that I'm looking, man, they get married younger. So you took them like 40, 41. They kids 17, 18. But yet now all our sisters, they graduating college, they bosses, and then they want us to be bosses, but we get that late start in life because we got forced out the nest and we couldn't afford to go to college. Like, when we get to talking to other barbers, the story gonna be the same. I was doing this, I was over here, then I had to go to barbers where they 30, 20, late 20s, 30s, even like yourself. Like, man, I had to detour, and this is how I got that love. I'm cutting my way out, like the podcast's name. So we just got so much reprogramming to do. We just got to, this content gonna be out there forever, man. And if somebody could just take these last 10 minutes and just take this and be like, dang, that's crazy.
Right. Just take it all, man. And really, people got to tap in because we got a lot of good content on here. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, we just got to get it to the masses because, we got some very level-headed brothers on here and we're talking about some things that are very relevant. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, brothers, man, I was apprehensive going in this, but it really turned out good and it ended, great. AO, man, like, appreciate your insight and helping my guy out, dealing with that shy.
Oh, yeah.
It's all love and Aush. Thank you for sharing that and really being intimate about your feelings and what it entailed and
no doubt.
Like you said, it'll come again. I mean, but
let me,
we almost 2 hours,
right.
2 hours in. So I mean,
right. So we don't want to,
I worked on
talk
my intro. I didn't work on my conclusion as a moderator.
we could talk for hours, but one thing I want to continue to do that I didn't do last time is just make sure, one, we're giving shouts out to the barbers that motivate us and tapping in, and everybody's tapping in because this is much more than just for barbers. We're providing motivation. We're providing, that inspiration for you to go out there, jump, and do whatever it is you want to do. We cut our way out, but capable of doing whatever you want in this lifetime as long as you put your heart and your mind to.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I got to tell you.
Go for it.
Freed up the schedule, bro. I will be in Miami, my boy.
Okay, yeah. That's what's up.
It's happening. I will be there. Bang, bang. It's going to be the whole Cut My Way podcast. I don't care who you is, where you come from. I'm talking to you. If you're in Miami, you're going to have to talk to me.
Yes, sir. You there, AO?
What's it? Oh, yeah, I'm going to be there.
That's what's up. We all be there. So we also, I just want to give
Tampa that same weekend with my family. So I ain't going to be in Miami, but I'm going to be in Florida. That's crazy, but I ain't going to be there. Damn.
I just want to give a shout out to all the clipper companies that allow us to cut our way out. Andy's, Wall, Bablis, Oyster, Formas, Caliber, everybody that we can think of. Supreme Team.
Now, Craft.
Yes, sir. You guys make it possible. Without them tools, we can't do what we do and what we love to do.
And shout out to the Wall Peanut. Most of the time it get me right, but I'm gonna blame my bad eyesight when my glasses is off. But Wall Peanut, shout out to y'all. Y'all been a good one for me.
Something you from being